Well, hello and welcome to my podcast. This is Cinemin, the podcast for the fans of the Criterion Collection, international films, art films, and of course American classics. Please enjoy my channel. Well, hello, folks. This is Daniel Nobre here. Thank you for watching my video blog. And this is the movie here we're gonna be talking about today. For this video blog, I chose, you see in the back, the some documentary and the guy subject from Mr. Paul Schrader's movie Mishima, A Life in Four Chapters, spine number 432 from the Criterion Collection, of course. And we're gonna show the package first, and then we're gonna talk about the movie in a moment. Notice that the package itself is all gold. This is my DVD edition, but I wanna say that this movie is available on Blu-ray. I don't have it yet, I'm gonna pick it later. And it's all gold. It's one of the most beautiful packages, in my opinion. Well, so many beautiful packages from the Criterion. But anyways, let's take a quick look right here. There's a booklet. That is the movie in the case. This is opening here the case. The second CD is because I have one already on my Blu-ray player, actually. I have a 4K Blu-ray player, but it's a DVD copy that we're gonna take a look at Mishima. As you see some scenes right there in the back already. We're gonna go back then the TV and explore the movie a little more. But this is the Golden Temple, which you see some scenes in there. And this is the presentation of the film. And the beautiful booklet in kaleidoscope style, Mishima, and several pages. It's very rich. I love this booklet. And here it is. Some pictures that Ken Ogata that plays Mishima itself. I'm gonna give you my opinion in a moment on the movie. Look at the Golden Temple right here. Beautiful sets by, gotta get her name right here, Eiko Ishioka. She's the one that did the designs for this film. So stay tuned, we're gonna talk about the movie just in a second. I'm gonna change places and we're gonna analyze and talk about Mishima, A Life in Four Chapters from the Criterion Collection. Hello folks, Daniel Nobre here again. And let's go. This is Ken Ogata, fantastic, playing the title role in Mishima, A Life in Four Chapters, directed by the great Paul Schrader, same screenwriter of Taxi Driver, The Last Temptation of Christ, and he's the director of movies like American Gigolo, and his first film, which I wrote it down somewhere, Blue Collar, sorry, there it is. Now let's talk a little bit about Confessions of a Mask, Yukio Mishima, and as you see, I put the two movies together that I have. The movie that I'm analyzing here, of course, is Mishima, A Life in Four Chapters, as I mentioned, and this is the companion, as I call companion. This is Yukio Mishima's film, the only film he acted, directed, wrote the screenplay, and patriotism is about 1 hour, this film here. Maybe if you guys like my video introduction for Mishima, let me know, maybe I'll make a special on patriotism that is also. If you watch Mishima and if you like it, Mishima, you certainly want to know more about patriotism. That's Mishima himself. And let's talk about the credits of the film before I start. So, director, Paul Schrader. Producers, Francis Ford Coppola, George Lucas. And producers, Tom Landy, and Matashiro Yamamoto. And writers, Paul Schrader and his brother, Leonard Schrader. And cinematography by John Bailey. Production design, executive art director first, Kazuo Tekenaka. Production designer, Eiko Ishioka. And music by Philip Glass, in between other talents as well. Not being even fair, that's just to give a glimpse who's involved in this film, so very important people. And that's when the movie starts. We see Mishima preparing for his last day, you see? And then the movie flashes back in black and white when you see the history of Mishima before becoming somebody really important. So every time you talk about Mishima personal life, the director made an option to show in beautiful black and white. Until we're gonna see. Then you see, this is the books. The name of the books that he wrote. You have the art design by Eiko Ishioka that makes the art design. So it looks like when you go for the part of the film that is about his books, it looks like a theater pieces that comes together. It's like they're acting in a theater, the actors, to represent what the storylines on his book. Now the director, that's another piece by the art director Eiko Ishioka, of course based on the idea of the director Paul Schrader, no doubt. And then blends again to the last scenes of the film. And that is gonna lead to the end of the film, I may say. That's correct to say, because it goes, everything intersects in the movie. You see, chapters is divided in 4 chapters, and the chapters are divided like this. He put a beauty, the first chapter of the book, showing us how Mishima learned to appreciate beauty in life. So it goes from when he was young, he makes his first famous book, which is The Temple of the Golden Pavilion, and that's represented in the film, of course, in the first section of the film. Then we move to art, when he started to establish himself as a very famous artist and author, especially author. He will do more than that in life. Just to give a glimpse of how complex he was. He was an author, a poet, a playwright, an actor, a model, a film director, and at the end, a military nationalist. So, as crazy as he gets, he goes through his life to the different movements and political options that is gonna lead, of course, to the end of the story, which is just very well captured by Paul Schrader. I like very much the way that Schrader chose to show his life. It looks like you are inside a book almost, you may say. So that's another theater piece, and that's the third part of the film, which is action. When he started thinking action, now he's established, that's the third part of the film. He is already famous, so he can adventure himself a little more, especially in his ambiguity of life. Even though he was married, you can, for his books, and you can see his lifestyle, he was homosexual. And it's funny to see the reaction of Japanese people on the approach of Mishima itself. And by the way, mention about the Japanese people, the film is all with Japanese actor, made in Japan, and all with American production. It's just perfect, really, because they really study everything about him. I think this is probably the best biography of Mishima ever made, honestly. I don't know another approach that Japan maybe have on him, but they don't talk about him that much. This movie never played in Japan because the widow, he was married at some point. That's just a little parenthesis. This scene, he's gonna stage, that's the film with patriotism right here. Inside Mishima's film, he's staging the ceremony of seppuku, or arakiri, or whatever you call it, but I think it's seppuku, that's the way it is, because that's the way, I think that's the right word for it. I believe is the way that the samurai commit suicide. Anyways, the complexity of this character is so much that the Japanese people, they kind of feel ashamed for things. Some people love him, don't get me wrong, but some people feel ashamed for the options that he made in traditional Japan, especially. You know, he strangely enough, he was a nationalist, which you imagine an artist being a more towards leaning to the left, more liberal thinking per se. No, left is not the right word, but leaning more liberal thinking. Usually artists are more focused authors and all that. Not that there's no right wing, there's always people in the right wing. But he was trying to, he created his own army, and that's the last part of the film, the chapter 4 is about when he created his own army, trying to reestablish, because he was thinking the Japanese people after the Second World War were losing their pride. So he decided to bring them back through the image of the emperor, restoring the power of the emperor of Japan. And that didn't go well. And so then he staged everything, especially all the way to his death, really. But everything carefully planned. And as Schrader approached, this is some scenes of the film, as I like very much the director Schrader's approach to that subject is that in his work, during his life, there are signs in his books that he's gonna lead for something like at the end of the movie, at the end of his own life per se. There's some indications through his books that he wants something else to be recognized, and that's why he dies the way that he dies. And you see the film, you see that clear. You can watch Patriotism as a companion, and you will learn that how for him everything that he does in his film is everything staged and planned, somehow planned. He didn't want to die in a common way like for an older age. He wants something more relevant in history, and doing that, strangely enough, which is, for some people in Japan, I think it's part, at least I heard, is part of the culture of Japan. When you commit suicide, something noble, is really noble. That's what I remember during the Second World War, the kamikaze Japanese airplane fighters, they used to kill themselves for the cause, that kind of hero thing. Or some people say nobility, for instance, not us, of course not, but in 9/11, the hijackers in their country, whatever the philosophy of the terrorist account, think is noble to die that way. They see that in suicide. Suicide. For me, suicide is an act of cowardice, my point of view. You give up your life for really, it's like almost you being so selfish doing that. I don't see as a noble thing. But however, there's an approach that some people see it. It's a certain culture in certain countries. And that's, I believe, the dilemma that led the director to direct this film. Because in Taxi Driver itself, the main character will commit suicide, of course. And Schrader kind of obsessed with that in some, at least at that moment in there. I'm not saying he lives obsessed with that, but it's an interesting study. I am too, in a sense, what mechanism leads somebody to do that. And this film, a fascinating film of an accomplished man that doesn't need to do that, it has power to be something even bigger than that, but somehow, I think at the end he finds himself trapped in his own art. I think, and that's what I believe Schrader tried to translate in this. Somehow Mishima got trapped on his own art. And then the end has to be the end that is gonna lead the character do the seppuku. I think that's the only way out at that point, because and he realized that at the very end. But again, he staged everything. I don't know, it's interesting. His homosexuality is explored lightly in here, but you can see it's there. Because one of the things that Schrader struggled was with the wife of Mishima, that she blocked the film in Japan in order to preserve his memory. Check it out. I hope you like this video. I don't want to talk more. I want that you watch the film. And I encourage you to put your opinion. If you like my channel, subscribe. We've been talking about different films. I'm preparing something special for the next one as well. Let me know what you think about Mishima. If you know his work before, his books. I didn't, but I read certain things, especially Confessions of the Mask. I think what Confessions of a Mask. I read a little bit about it, so I kind of know, and I read the Temple of the Golden Pavilion, what it's about, okay? I'd like to know your opinion, and please, let me know, and subscribe my channel if you will. I will appreciate, and if you put a like in this video, I do appreciate as well. Thanks for watching. My name is Daniel Nobre. I see you next time. Enjoy Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters by the brilliant Paul Schrader. Thank you.